Hello everyone, welcome to our whirlwind tour of Europe, where the history is ancient, the food is incredible, and the queues are longer than your last grocery store line. Today, we're crisscrossing across Europe in less than 30 minutes. Because, let's face it, who has the time to travel the old-fashioned way when you've got binge-watching to do? Our first stop is Paris, France, aka the city where your diet goes to die. Paris is like that friend who always seems to have their life together, but in reality, they're just really good at hiding the chaos underneath. They look effortlessly chic while you're still trying to figure out how to make your bed before noon. Here's the Eiffel Tower, a giant metal structure that makes all other landmarks look like they didn't even try. It's as if Paris said, "We need to show off, so let's build a tower so tall that everyone below will be forced to look up and think, wow, Paris must really have their stuff together." Speaking of Paris, let's talk coffee. Parisian cafes are like that fancy restaurant you go to once a year, where you drop a small fortune for a tiny cup of coffee that makes you question your life choices. You'll spend more time trying to figure out how to order without sounding like a total tourist than actually enjoying your overpriced espresso. And heaven forbid you ask for a refill. That's like asking for a second slice of cake at a wedding, just not done. And don't miss the Louvre. It's basically Paris's way of saying, we've got so much art that we had to build a whole building to keep it in. Mona Lisa's smile is so enigmatic that you might start feeling self-conscious about your own smile in every photo. It's like she's thinking, I've seen better selfies. And when you're trying to see her among the crowd, just remember, patience is a virtue, or at least that's what I told myself while waiting in line. Next, let's hop over to Rome, Italy. The Colosseum is like the ancient version of a stadium. Only instead of cheering for a football team, people were cheering for gladiators fighting to the death. It's Rome's way of saying, look, we had sports before they were cool, and ours were way more intense. It's the perfect place to reflect on how your biggest battle these days is deciding what to binge watch next. Now, let's talk food. Italian cuisine is so good, it's like your taste buds are having a party, while the rest of you is just trying to keep up. Pizza and pasta are like the do not disturb sign for your diet. You're not just eating food, you're having a full-blown affair with it. And gelato? It's like the universe's way of reminding you that calories don't count in Italy, or at least that's what I told myself after the third scoop. Next, we're off to Barcelona, Spain. Home of Gaudi's Sagrada Familia, a cathedral that looks like someone combined a sandcastle with a Dr. Seuss book. It's a building that's been under construction longer than your cousin's home renovation project. But hey, at least it's unique, which is more than I can say for that IKEA furniture you've been meaning to put together. And let's not forget tapas. Tapas are like a Spanish way of saying, let's serve you a little bit of everything so you can pretend you're eating healthy. It's an entire meal made up of appetizers. And the more you eat, the more you realize that your pants are slowly but surely becoming more of a suggestion than a requirement. Now, on to Amsterdam. The city's canals are picturesque and will make you wish you had a boat, or at least a decent excuse to get out of the office. The only problem? Amsterdam is also the bike capital of the world, so be prepared to play a real-life game of Frogger every time you step outside. If you don't dodge at least 5 bikes on your walk, you're doing it wrong. And then there's the windmills and tulip fields. It's like stepping into a Dutch painting where everyone is really into their flowers. The Tulip Museum is so dedicated that it's basically a shrine to flowers. If you're ever in doubt about how much the Dutch love tulips, just visit this place and be amazed at the sheer volume of petals. Next stop, Berlin, Germany. The Brandenburg Gate is like Berlin's "Hey, we've got history too" landmark. It's a symbol of unity that's been around since before your grandparents were even born. And while you're there, you might as well visit some local beer gardens, because nothing says "Welcome to Berlin" like a large stein of beer that's about as big as your head. And if you're feeling adventurous, try currywurst. It's Germany's way of saying, we take our sausages seriously, and we're not afraid to spice them up. It's like someone looked at a regular sausage and thought, let's add a bunch of curry powder and make this the best thing ever. Finally, we land in London. Big Ben is like London's timekeeping mascot. It's so iconic that even if you're late, you'll still look like you're in the right place. And the London Eye? It's a giant Ferris wheel that's a great way to see the city if you're not afraid of heights, or if you've always wanted to experience what it feels like to be in a very slow-moving hamster wheel. And then there's afternoon tea. It's like Britain's national pastime, where you sit down to tiny sandwiches, scones, and a pot of tea that makes you feel posh, even if you're just using it as an excuse to delay going back to work. It's a tea party for adults who are pretending that eating finger foods somehow makes them more sophisticated. And don't forget to hop on one of those red double-decker buses. They're like the city's version of a moving sightseeing tour. Just remember, if you're on the top deck, you're also a prime target for London's ever-changing weather. So, if it starts raining, you'll be the lucky one who gets a free shower while trying to see the sights. And there you have it, Europe in 30 minutes. From Paris's towering icons to Italy's culinary delights, Barcelona's whimsical architecture, Amsterdam's bike frenzy, Berlin's historical landmarks, and London's tea traditions, Europe has something for everyone, and a lot of things for your Instagram feed. It's been a whirlwind of fun, and I hope you enjoyed this virtual trip as much as I enjoyed making it. Thanks for tagging along on this European escapade. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Until then, remember, the best part of traveling is sharing your experiences with everyone who hasn't been on the trip. Safe travels, whether they're real or just a click away. Bon voyage, and may your next adventure be as exciting as a surprise long weekend.